Hi, I am Yuki, and today I will be your storyteller. Make yourself comfortable and we'll get right on it. Prepare to be taken on a thrilling journey to the town of Sichuan, where the courageous protagonist, Yeon So-Woon, a fifth disciple of the powerful demonic sect leader, the Heavenly Demon, faces betrayal from his own disciple brother. The resulting conflict showcases Yeon So-Woon's incredible martial skills as he takes on and defeats powerful foes single-handedly. Chapter 1. The story unfolds in the town of Sichuan, where Yeon So-Woon, a fifth disciple of the leader of the demonic sect, the Heavenly Demon, got betrayed by his disciple brother, leading to a fight between them. Despite being poisoned by the secret 7 amalgamated poisons of the Tang clan, Yeon So-Woon displayed extraordinary martial prowess while killing powerful people like the 3 Blood Heaven Squad, 4 elders of the Myriad Demon Palace, and even the great steel-blooded demon sovereign Seo-Gun-Ok, single-handedly. His disciple brother was amazed at his abilities. Yeon So-Woon then spoke about the ongoing war between the Order and Demon, as well as the legendary thief who had stolen everything within the Central Plains and was never caught. The sects and clans of the Order had sent their elite martial artists to Sichuan to recover the treasure stolen by the shadowless divine thief. The Heavenly Demon sent Yeon So-Woon to investigate the tomb. However, he was now facing the betrayal of his disciple brother, who was joyful killing Demon Sovereign and the second disciple of the Heavenly Demon. His disciple brother claimed that Yeon So-Woon's talent surpassed that of the sect leader, and others believed that he wanted to become the sect leader. Yeon So-Woon rebuked him, stating that he had no interest in that position. He then mocked his disciple brother, saying he only acted that way because he heard that the youngest disciple's talent was mediocre. Yeon So-Woon even taunted him by commenting on his thin ears, despite wanting to become the sect leader. This statement then angers his disciple brother, and he powers up to attack Yeon So-Woon. The brother taunts Yeon So-Woon in return, telling him that it looks like he used up all his strength in the previous fight. Following that, he attacked Yeon So-Woon. However, Yeon So-Woon told himself that his disciple brother was still very perceptive. His disciple brother then used his weakness at the moment to his advantage by making the first move while also telling Yeon So-Woon that he looked like a person at death's door, but Yeon So-Woon was able to dodge his attacks. This then angers his disciple brother, who then dodges Yusu's first attack. Yeon So-Woon, who was now deeply affected by the poison, starts to spit blood, knowing that he has a little key left and that he will soon die. He was then taunted by his disciple brother, who saw that he was already dying and told him, "Has he given up already?" Yeon So-Woon then replies with confidence, telling him that though his body is a complete mess, it's not at the point yet where he can't deal with him. He then mocks him by claiming that he is the great and mighty joyful killing demon sovereign retreating. His disciple brother then replied, laughing hysterically, by asking him if he felt the energy of those bastards who were from the Order faction. He further tells Yeon So-Woon that if he doesn't want to face humiliation by those foolish bastards from the Order faction, he should obediently offer up his neck, telling him he will kill him painlessly out of the compassion he has borne from their shared brotherhood. So-Woon, being enraged by this statement, tells him that why would he say something like that when he knows about his horrible personality, and he further tells him he won't die alone. His disciple brother further tells him that it can't work. Yeon So-Woon then uses the forbidden technique, which, to the amazement of his disciplined brother, he was not expecting. Yeon So-Woon further tells him that it is the forbidden art technique, which is the demonic art technique of the explosive potential. His disciple brother was then surprised that he used such demonic art, the consequence of which was a painful, excruciating death. But Yeon So-Woon doesn't care as long as he takes his brother down with him. Yeon So-Woon then attacks, but his brother, disciple Treef, defends the attack with all his strength, but he is overwhelmed by the forbidden art technique used by Yeon So-Woon, who then tries to finish off his disciple brother by launching his final attack, which leaves his disciple brother dead. The attack that caused an energy blast alerted men from the Order faction, who had suspected that the tremendous energy could be from the men of the Demonic Sect. Hurriedly running to the spot to see what was happening, Yeon So-Woon, who was now badly affected by the poison and on the verge of death, was kneeling down and soliloquizing. Someone from the Order faction noticed that Yeon So-Woon was doing this, but when they moved near to him, they saw that he was alive. Yeon So-Woon began to think that not a single day had passed since he had lived as he wanted, even since his departure from the Demonic Sect. It was because of his parents, who sold him to the Demonic Sect due to their poverty, and for 10 years he was trapped inside the hideous demon cave, and in order to survive in that hell, he killed and killed. 10 years after that, despite the strife and betrayal, he desperately survived. He wasn't even able to get anything that he truly wanted in his grasp. He has never done anything of his own will in his life, and in the end, he is meeting death after getting betrayed by his disciple brother. He thought to himself, what a waste of life. The monk from the Order faction who was present then asked whether he had any last words, prayed that he be reborn and reach nirvana in his afterlife. Chapter 2. So-Woon was then transported back in time to meet the man who abused him when he was younger. He was beaten by him. He thought he had died. He then realized that the man beating him was the same man who had tossed him into the demon cave 14 years earlier. He then even realized that where he was where he stayed before he was dragged into the demonic cult. He thought to himself, that place, with that same guy, could it be possible that he regressed due to the prayer of the bald monk who prayed to Buddha? The men who captured Yeon So-Woon then heard a rumor that an elder of the Murim Alliance was nearby, and that it could be dangerous for them because they could chase after them. They then talked about the heavenly flow sword, who became an elder at age 40, although he was not from the 9 great sects or the 5 great clans. The man who maltreated Yeon So-Woon then told the men to stop the nonsense chat and get back to the cult, quickly. Yeon So-Woon then realized that with the way things were going, he would be dragged back to the hidden demon cave, which he described as hell on earth. They say they raise rising experts, but it is a place of torture, anguish, and suffering, a place where children exposed risk their lives to do anything they can to survive. He then decides he's not going back to the demon cave. On their way to the demon cave, a fight ensued between the Manjong clan and the men that were taking Yeon So-Woon to the demon cave, which led to them killing everyone from the Manjong clan except for 2 ladies who were captured alive. Yeon So-Woon then makes his move in the midst of the chaos, striking his captor on the nose and fleeing for his life, but was later caught. He was then threatened by his captor that if he ran away again, mission or not, he was going to slice off his head. One of the men of Yeon So-Woon's captor then tells him to calm down and let them move quickly. His captor then said to the men to tie Yeon So-Woon up tightly so that he will never come undone. They then proceeded to drink. His captor said he got tired because of the wine, which he then gave to the other men to drink. Then one of the men talking said that wine after a big fight is the best. They then shared the wine amongst themselves. Yeon So-Woon, captor, then tell the men that if they are down, they should start moving. Then, all of a sudden, all the men started spitting blood. They were surprised and shocked. Yeon So-Woon, the captor, who was also badly affected by the poison, advised the men to meditate it out. Yeon So-Woon then said that since this is the 2nd time, he will let them die peacefully. Chapter 3. Yeon So-Woon, who was skilled with herbs, had previously poisoned the drink given to the men. He saw that as the only way out, and the way he survived in the hidden demon cave was to learn about poisonous herbs and substances. He further says he might not be comparable to poisoners from the Tang sect or Poison Valley, but he knows more about poison than the average doctor or herb gatherer. He then taunts the men, who were mostly dead, saying that the alcohol he made does not suit their taste. He then picks up a sword, telling one of the men he will send him off in comfort, kills the man, and sighs to himself that he doesn't have to go back to that hellish, hidden demon cave. He then talks to himself, saying his creed is going to pay back any grudges tenfold. Reflecting on the past, he remembers the time he faced a joyful demon that killed a sovereign. He was then thinking about going back to take revenge on the Demonic Sect, or not. He decides he does want to live his life the way he has in the past, but he does not want to give up on the life of a soldier. He tells himself that if he does not have the strength, it is only natural that he gets exposed to unjustified violence and humiliation. He says that he does not want to be a hermit or vagabond warrior, since not only do they have no money and influence, they are also not acknowledged. He also doesn't want to become a leader at the Murim Union because of their responsibilities. He then further asks himself if there is a way he can spend his later years in comfort while still being respected. He then talks about the Murim leaders, saying that the Murim leaders he saw in his past life were a hotbed of corruption. They divided the authority of the Murim Union based on their interests, and even while enjoying their many privileges, they never appeared once on the battlefield. They were old monsters. The members of the Demonic Sect even laughed at them and held them in contempt. Yeon So-Woon then further said that it won't be easy for somebody who isn't from the 9 great sects or the 5 great clans to become an elder at the Murim Union. For him now, he is still a powerless child. He then says in order for him to become an elder at Murim, he needs to be somewhere safe where he can plan for his future while cultivating his strength. He then hears the voice of the ladies who were captured by the men from the Demonic Sect, asking him to help them bring the lady back to their clan. Yeon So-Woon then tells himself that this is the 10,000-mile clan. It is his first time seeing this name, but if this lady is the young lady of a clan, she could be his lifeline. He then says he was uneasy since it was a clan that he had never heard of, but it looks like they are quite wealthy. He was then telling the leader of the 10,000-mile clan that they were attacked by men from a part of the Demonic Sect. The leader tells him there is a lack of evidence. Yeon So-Woon tells the clan leader that what he has told him is what he has heard, and he does not know the details. He then suggests that the corpses remaining at the place should be investigated. The leader of the clan then commends him, saying that he is well-mannered despite his young age and that he is quite intelligent too. The clan leader then offers him a place to stay. Chapter 4. It has already been 2 days since Yeon So-Woon came to live with the 10,000-mile clan. As he lived here, he began to work under a person called Steward Wang, who was the steward of the 10,000-mile clan. Steward Wang then tells Yeon So-Woon that because the clan leader himself had told him to take care of Yeon So-Woon, he will be his assistant. But if he isn't doing it properly, he won't be able to officially stay at that position. Yeon So-Woon then asked how much his wages are. Steward Wang laughed at his question and told him that his employment status wasn't even confirmed yet, so he should not worry about it. If he is good at his work, Steward Wang will pay him from his own personal expense. Yeon So-Woon says to himself that since he didn't have any plan to devote himself to this place, it doesn't matter. What was more important to him now is the accumulation technique. Someone who had learned demonic arts will never be able to become an elder of the Murim Union. Because of that, he needs the key accumulation technique of the Order faction, and it needs to be as destructive as the accumulation art of the heavenly demon that he had learned from the sect leader. He then ponders to himself, was there a key accumulation technique of that level within the Murim of the White Path? He then remembers the 10 absolute masters within the Order faction. The emperor called them the 10 heavenly emperor. Amongst them, there was one man who had slaughtered the masters of the Demonic Sect with just one fist alone. The man was called the King of Fist. His accumulation technique was something that even the heavenly demon had to acknowledge, a destructive technique that rivals the accumulation art of the heavenly demon. The body art of white lightning of the King of Fist can replace the accumulation art of the heavenly demon. So Woon to learn the King of Fist's body art of the white lightning, he needs to be his disciple first, because that is the only way to regain the level he attained in his previous life. The problem is that the past tracks of the King of Fist were unknown. He had no idea what he could be doing in some unknown place. What's known is that after 5 years, he will make his first appearance in Sichuan. Until then, Yeon So-Woon decided that he will finish all the preparation except for the key accumulation technique. 2 years later, he was eating with the servants, and they found out that he was eating too much. He said to himself that for the past 2 years, he gathered ki with the basics, the 3 fundamental ki accumulation technique. However, its efficiency is quite low. He then says until he can learn the ki accumulation of the King of Fist, he needs to concentrate on building his body. He then gets taunted by the servants, asking whether he was possessed by a hungry ghost or something. The head servant then tells him to stop eating and follow him through the back door. Yeon So-Woon replies telling him he is not going. This statement enrages the head servant, who then told him it is better for him to follow him nicely. Yeon So-Woon replies telling him that they can talk when he is done eating. This statement then enrages the head servant, who then tells him he must be acting like this because of Lady Yeon-hee and the steward. The head servant then threatens him that if he doesn't want to get roughed, he should come after him. When the 2 of them got outside, the head servant then tells Yeon So-Woon to come under them, but even before finishing what he was saying was attacked by Yeon So-Woon. We will continue this story soon. In the meanwhile, you can choose from this exciting stories. See you there!